Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather Gearhart. If you're new, thanks for stopping by, and if you're not, thanks for tuning in today. Today I'm going to be sharing with you our experience with the coronavirus, being stuck in Switzerland and the UK, what happened with us, what is happening today, and what I think about this whole thing. And I know everybody's really sick of hearing about the coronavirus, but we're also sort of morbidly drawn to it to where we can't get enough of it. I just wanted to give you a little bit of perspective on how we are viewing it and how you might want to view it. And so if you're interested in that, stay tuned and let's do this. Okay, so our fourth child was born in Switzerland, and he only stayed there for a year before we were transferred back to the US. And so he doesn't remember any of it. And so we have told him since he was about 4 or 5 that when he turned 10, we would take him back to Switzerland and show him everywhere he was born, how we lived, our house, that kind of thing. So this year he's 10, and so for spring break, we thought, what a great idea in March on spring break to take our 2 boys back to Switzerland and show them where they lived and where one of them was born. That was potentially not a good idea looking back, but nonetheless, we had tickets. And so the week before we were leaving, we knew this coronavirus thing was in China, but it really had not hit really anywhere else that bad. Nobody was quarantining anyone except for, I think, in China. And it just wasn't really that big of a deal. But in Texas here, our allergy season has been horrible. And so our 10-year-old was coughing and wheezing, and he had all these allergies. So I took him to the doctor on the Wednesday before we left on Saturday and made sure he was tested for flu and tested for all sorts of stuff. He had no fever. He had no symptoms, none of that other than this bad cough from allergies. They determined it was allergies. They wrote me a doctor's note, verifying that he was negative for all these tests and fine to travel. I just wanted to have it because I thought, well, somebody hears him coughing, they're going to think he's got the coronavirus. So we did that. We made all the precautions. We got on a plane. We get to Switzerland. And we had an amazing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in Switzerland. And we showed him our house and Gruyere and the mountains, Mont Blanc, all that kind of stuff. We were planning on going to Italy on Monday. No, sorry. On Monday, we were planning to go to the Geneva Auto Show, which when a couple days before we left, we found out was canceled due to no one over 1,000 gathering together was allowed in Switzerland anymore. So we had tickets to that. And we thought, great, Monday is ruined. We got to figure out something else for Monday. Tuesday, we were planning on going to North Italy because you can drive through the Tunnel du Mont Blanc, which is 7 miles long, super fun. You get to the top and you're in Italy. There's this beautiful town called Aosta, best gnocchi around, and we're going to take him to Italy. And then Italy got quarantined. The entire area of Italy gets quarantined, and so we can't go to Italy. So now Tuesday's ruined. So we completely altered our plans and did all the things at the beginning of the week inside of Switzerland that we were planning on doing at the end of the week, which ended up being a really good choice because Wednesday night, overnight, our phones started blowing up from everyone in the US saying that Trump had declared that he was going to close the borders from Europe, including Switzerland, on Friday night. We had tickets to fly home Saturday morning. So we had to get up super early Thursday morning and try and get out of Switzerland Thursday so that we were not stuck there until Saturday. We were able to get a flight to the UK, but when we got to the UK, we were not able to get a flight out on Thursday back home. The earliest they could get us out was Saturday. So we had 48 hours in the UK. Well, the UK was not under a quarantine, and it was also not under a ban at the time for travel. So we were like, all right, we are going to bathe ourselves in hand sanitizer, and we are going to show our boys London. Well, we were staying near the airport, which if you've ever been to London, is like an hour away from actual downtown London, and we had to take their subway system. So I'm like, don't touch any poles, any handrails, any seats, nothing that you don't have to touch. It was cold enough, thankfully, that I was like, wear your gloves. everywhere so that you'll keep your hands out of your mouth and your eye because you got gloves on, and then you can pull the gloves off, hand sanitize, and hopefully we're going to be okay. London was like a massive amount of people. I mean, I'm sure it's worse in the summertime, but it's like New York City on a regular day. There's just people everywhere, people in restaurants, in bars, in the London Eye. I mean, just everywhere. And so, social distancing was not happening for us at all. But we were starting to get more and more concerned that we were going to be able to get out because things were, heating up and getting worse. And at the time, the UK was just like, let's just delay. We're not closing schools. We're not closing anything else. We're just going to see what happens. Just wash your hands a lot. So we did end up getting a flight out Saturday morning. We were not sick. We had no symptoms. When we got into DFW, they had just implemented this new system of screening everyone who was coming in on an overseas or international flight. And what usually takes about 15 or 20 minutes to get through customs took us 2.5 hours because they had to screen where we had come from, all of our information. I mean, where we lived, phone numbers, emergency numbers, our home address, where we were flying from, where was our final destination. Then they had to bring over this healthcare worker to have a look at us to make sure that we looked healthy. That was pretty much all they did as far as screening. It was like, well, you guys look healthy. Do you feel sick? And we're like, no. So then she just signed off. So, they didn't take our temperature or anything like that, but we were fine. But it did take us 2.5 hours to get through that line because it was taking approximately 10 to 15 minutes per person to get everyone's information and screen everyone. So that was really long after a 11-hour flight. But we made it home, and then we had to self-quarantine. And before we had left, we had tried to use up everything in the house food-wise so that nothing went bad. And I didn't go grocery shopping the whole week before because I didn't want things left in the house. And so we literally had nothing. And then I went to the store, and they literally had nothing. And the amount of hoarding of toilet paper, all when everybody was doing all that stuff, we were overseas and couldn't buy any of it. Our oldest daughter was here, and she ran into someone at Walmart because she was trying to find us some toilet paper and different things like that. And one of her friends she ran into said, you know what, I got a bunch of this at home. Just come to my house and we'll give you some. And so she went over there and she gave our daughter 10 packs of 4 packs of toilet paper, paper towels, wipes, disinfectant, toothpaste, mouthwash. She just had a bunch of stuff. Not that she had bought recently. She just picks it up over time and just keeps it. She wasn't hoarding it. She just had it. And so she just was generous and just gave it to us. And that, I don't even know her. I don't even know her name. My daughter knows her. And it was just so sweet of somebody to be like, hey, take it. And if you need anything else, call me next week. I mean, it was so amazing. So we came home to just a bunch of piles of cleaning stuff on our kitchen counter, which was really amazing. And so I'm happy to say 5-6 days later, I guess we've been home. None of us are sick. Having been in Switzerland and the UK and back home, we're all fine. And I mean, we are self-quarantining. We're not going out if we don't have to, just to, as a precaution for other people because we have been overseas. But we're all totally fine. So that's kind of the backstory. And as things have progressed and things are kind of heating up a little bit and everybody's getting nervous, I just wanted to say one thing, and this may be a very unpopular opinion, and it is not intended to offend anyone, and if you don't agree with me, totally fine with that. But I just wanted to say that if you are feeling anxious about this virus, if it is making you think a little bit more about your mortality, think a little bit more about maybe your parents' mortality or the mortality of people who have an underlying immune problem, if it causes you to think twice about being on this earth, I would highly recommend that since you have the time at home, potentially, I mean, I know there's a lot of people still working, but potentially if you have more time at home to read, to research, to contemplate, I would highly recommend contemplating 2 questions. 1, is Jesus who he says he is? And 2, if he is, what does that mean for me? Because all of us will die at some point. We cannot escape it. We might be nervous that this virus would kill us before our time, but nobody escapes death. Everyone dies. And what happens when you die? And if you've just decided, well, I don't know, so I'm going to ignore it, that would be a big mistake, I think. And if you've just decided, well, nothing happens, you're just dead, well, okay, that's one way of looking at things, and maybe that is true. However, the evidence for the Gospels, the evidence for the Bible and for Jesus is overwhelming if you really research properly with an open heart. And I mean research, not just, well, the Bible says so, so maybe it's true. No, research it. And I have a book that I want you to get. I would highly recommend getting this book. It is called Cold Case Christianity, and it is written by a former atheist who is a homicide detective in the Los Angeles area. And he did cold cases for homicide. So he decided to take his experience as a homicide detective on how he investigates things and put that to the test of the Gospels of the Bible on whether or not they're reliable. And it is fascinating. Even if you don't think you believe in the Bible, it is fascinating. His logic and his process and path with which he takes to see if the Bible actually holds water and if it actually can claim truth. And when he got done with that, he became a Christ follower. Atheist to Christ follower, doing his own investigation. And then he wrote a book about it. And it is fascinating. I will have it linked in the description box below. It is one of the best books that I have read for a skeptic. And I'm not a skeptic, I will admit. I read it with eyes of agreement from the beginning. However, he did not write it with eyes for agreement from the beginning when he started. And so he came to it very skeptical and came to this conclusion. So I would highly recommend checking this out and using the time that you have at home, the extra time, to think about things bigger than today, longer than today. The future of your life, the future of your children's life, your friends, your family. This could be a really good time to take some time to think about these things. That's it for today's video. I hope you found it entertaining and enjoyable, if nothing else. And please share this with anyone who you think might want to see this, may need to see this. And give it a like, subscribe, and click the bell so you're notified of every video that I post, which happens normally weekly unless I'm stuck in Europe. Otherwise, I hope you're having a great day. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.